Hi guys, welcome to Star Wars Timeline. In today's video we're highlighting one of my favorite Mandalorians from the Star Wars Legends era. We're going to take a look at his story synopsis, discuss his personality traits, I will talk about my personal impression of this character and what I hope to see in the future. Before we jump into it, very quickly, if you like this video, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate your support, and this is the way. Anyway, let's jump into it. Who is this character? Goran Beviin first appears in the Legacy of the Force Sacrifice book by Karen Traviss in May of 2007. This was his first major appearance, but I believe he also shows up in one short story prior to that. Now, Karen Traviss is the author who is known in the Star Wars community for developing this deep and layered culture of Mandalorians that we see in the Legends novels. And later on, George Lucas kind of altered the formula when he tried to do his own version of Mandalore in the Clone Wars show. And the two are quite separate from one another. Now, in terms of his story, Goran Beviin is a human male Mandalorian, he's the bounty hunter, and he's contract killer. He originally comes from Nar Shaddaa, and he lives there during 25 years after Battle of Yavin or after Episode 4. So you have to understand, his story takes place way after the Galactic War took place and the Emperor and Vader are long gone. He is one of the many Mandalorians who hire themselves to these as to be this vanguard force of the extragalactic invaders. The Yuzong Vong scout Nomanor, he convinces Beviin, along with Boba Fett and other Mandalorians, that they have no other choice but to assist the invaders in exchange for good pay and shared technology. Mandalorians refuse to kill a Jedi called Kubarat during their brief association with the Vong invaders, and they quickly switch sides. And they start fighting against Vong on their home world Mandalore. And this great event is called the Battle of Mandalore, led by no other than Boba Fett. So after this long and very brutal war, Beviin settles down on Mandalore with his husband, Medrid Vasseur, and their adopted daughter, Dinua. He becomes one of Fett's most trusted lieutenants, and even during the period when Boba Fett has to leave the planet, he becomes an acting Mandalore briefly. He is also one of the many Mandalorians who mentors Jaina Solo, one of the twins born from a marriage of Leia Organa and Han Solo, and she's the one who goes and tries to defeat the Sith Lord Darth Caedus. And in order to prepare to combat his crazy skills, she's taught in the ways of the Mandalorians. Now, let's move on and talk about his personality traits. We know that, first and foremost, his name is derived from this fictional Mando language, which I believe Karen Traviss is either directly designed, or she was one of the co-authors who designed that language. And Goran means smith, and Beviin means lance, which is quite interesting interpretation, because the first time when we saw this blacksmith in the Mandalorian show, for a brief second before we heard a voice and realized it was a female, I was hoping that it would be Goran for some reason. He's also described as a traditionalist. He's very old-fashioned and set in his way, and even the way that he carries his blue Beskar armor. And he has a set of weapons which are called the Crush Gaunts, and they're basically these highly illegal gauntlets developed by Mandalorians who can just crush their opponents. He's also a family man. He has a husband, as I mentioned, Medrid Vasseur, and he also shows compassion as somebody who is willing to lay down his arms and become a family man when they together adapt this younger girl, Dinua. And interestingly enough, he's one of the first gay couples to ever show up in a Star Wars lore. Now, what is my personal impression of this character, and what do I hope to see in the future? First of all, I absolutely loved Star Wars Legacy period series, which was a fantastic run of books, and Mandalorians had a very cool part in it. And he was one of the most resonating and strongest characters to me, primarily because, you know, up until this point, we see Boba, you know, everybody mentions his name. All the scoundrels in the galaxy fear him, you know, and all the Mandalorians kind of look up to him as the main guy. Well, somebody like Goran Beviin comes around from a different part of the galaxy who's just as capable, just as badass, and you realize that Boba Fett is not the cream of the crop. There are other Mandalorians out there who kick major ass. And not only is a tough guy, I love his interaction with Boba Fett. And, you know, there's a little bit of condescending going on between Mandalorians to kind of like keep checking each other and make sure that everybody's on top of their game and is capable and is able to take a little bit of criticism. And interestingly enough, Goran Beviin lovingly calls Fett Bobika, which is like belittling his name a little bit. It's like, hey, younger brother, like you're a youngster right there, you know. And Goran Beviin is also one of the Mandalorian lieutenants who is not afraid to stand up to Boba and tell him when he's wrong. And during the times where all of the Mandalorians converge, which is a creed, it's not a species, it's not a race, it's a creed that anybody in the Star Wars lore can follow. You can be a human, you can be a non-human. And in the Legends books, what they do is they gather on this barren planet of Mandalore, which I want to once again separate from George Lucas's version of Mandalore we see in the Clone Wars show. Very different stuff. And when all the Mandalorians come, and Goran Beviin also comes in there, he settles down, he has his own farm, he wants to be a family man, but he's also a patriot, just like all Mandalorians are, and he wants their planet to succeed, especially after that devastating war. And when Boba Fett is not adhering to his status as a Mandalore, as somebody who is not quite a king, he's more of a example. He's supposed to set a precedent for everybody else where the Mandalore as a country, as a planet should move. And when Boba Fett doesn't live up to his obligations, Goran Beviin is one of the first to call him out on his bullshit and say, like, look, this is not the way. And you need to go and handle your business, take care of your daughter and granddaughter, and all of that very dramatic story that takes place in the Legacy books. And I was very intrigued by this character, how he was like, no, you're not the only one who wishes the best for Mandalore, and he reprimands Boba Fett. What do I hope to see in the future for Goran Beviin? Obviously, we have this Mandalorian show now, and I personally enjoyed the first season more than the second one, and I'll explain why. I thought when they started introducing that Mandalorian lore and the fact that Din Djarin is an unknown party, he's somebody we've never met before, he's totally new creation, I really enjoyed that aspect. And in the second season, when they started introducing the George Lucas's ideas of, you know, the Battle of the Mandalore, and, you know, and the Dark Saber, and who is supposed to possess it, and obviously Boba Fett comes around, I felt, I mean, yeah, it's a strong episode of the story that takes place there, but I just felt it takes away a little bit from Din Djarin and from developing that lore, which I felt that the first season was a beautiful marriage between what Karen Traviss has created in the books and what George Lucas has done in the Clone Wars show. It kind of brought the two worlds together. And for somebody like myself, even though some of the lore is quite different, like not taking off their helmets, that wasn't there before, or, you know, this is the way, the stuff that they say in the show, that's also pretty new. But along with it, there were a lot of motifs and ideas that I felt very connected to from the Star Wars Legends books. And this is what I want to see more of. And I see no reason why they couldn't bring Goran Beviin and other prominent Mandalorians from the books and make them popular in the show as well. Maybe there will be a time jump and we'll see Mandalorian, maybe season 5, and it will shift the focus from Din Djarin to another unknown Mandalorian, and perhaps Goran Beviin could be there either as a supporting character or in the background, or maybe a different show entirely, which is not focused just on Mandalorians, but where those mercenaries, the protectors, will once again come back and we will see some of the Legends characters return. Anyway, guys, my name is Benjamin. I do Star Wars comic book and book reviews, as you saw today, character highlights, lore videos, and so forth. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a comment below. Tell me if you know this character, or if you have read the Star Wars Legacy series and you enjoyed it as much as I have. And which version of Mandalorians did you enjoy more? The Karen Traviss version, or the ones that we see in the Mando show, and of course George Lucas? I would love to hear your comments, and I will definitely respond back. Until then, I'll see you later.